Yes, guys, Ryjack back here for another video. Today, we are here to talk about Florian Wirtz. Now, I'm sure you are aware there's some major developments in this transfer. It's quickly becoming quite the saga, and it's been kind of roller coaster, I'm not going to lie. Last week, huge news. He signs for Bayern, allegedly. This week, he's in Manchester, allegedly. Maybe he's in Liverpool, who knows? A whole lot going on. So, before we discuss and look at some timelines here, I've got a bunch of tweets bookmarked to go over so I can keep you guys as up to date as possible. Do, if you are new, leave a like, comment, and sub to the channel. Very much appreciated on the goal to 150 subs. So we're getting there very closely, day by day, to the 150 goal. Also, check me out on TikTok. I've got my link for that in the description. Just hit over 1,000 followers there. So very cool. Appreciate that. Anyway, let's talk about this. So as I said, late last week, maybe the weekend, I don't know. Basically, the story comes out from Bild, Wirtz, and Bayern. It's happening. He only has decided he wants to play for them. He's interested in not leaving Germany, even though an article comes out that says, he might be interested in leaving Germany. Regardless, agreement fully sealed between Bayern and Wirtz. Not between Leverkusen and Bayern, but between Bayern and Wirtz. Kind of shutting down the transfer type situation. However, very, very quickly, the following days, basically, it comes out that that's not the case. And in fact, he's in Manchester. Now, this was yesterday. This was May 13th. He's in Manchester meeting with city representatives. Initially, it was thought that he was meeting with Pep and some of the higher-ups, but that, it turns out, not true. He was meeting with, I guess, Hugo Viana, Cheeky Bajerstein, and Khaldoon Al-Mubarak, apparently, which is pretty huge to me. I mean, meeting with Khaldoon is pretty huge. Khaldoon, if you guys are not aware, basically runs City. He's second in command, essentially, to the Sheikh. But, I mean, the Sheikh, I don't really think does it much, but, fund everything. So the guy runs the club, one of the biggest clubs in the world, very powerful man. Even politically, like meeting with the president and doing all sorts of stuff. So meeting with him is probably very, very cool and surreal moment for Wirtz and his family. Anyway, reports started flowing throughout early days yesterday of May. As you can see here, he's in talks with City. Leverkusen gave permission for him to do this. We were trying to hijack the deal, even though I don't really like that phrasing because I don't think anything was ever officially done with Bayern per se, so I'm not really buying that. But it did come out. We have a verbal agreement on the framework of a deal, meaning if Wirtz says yes to City, it's done. It's no problems at all. It will happen. I do have some other tweets saved here for other videos I'd like to talk about, but you can ignore those for the time being. There was another weird aspect to it that they flew into Blackpool. Apparently not the nicest part of the UK, not from there, never been, no idea, but people were like, why would you go to Blackpool? But it was to avoid detection, I guess. I don't know, they're on some espionage, spy stuff. I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, it was just this big event, sort of like a tour of the country, apparently, for Wirtz and his parents. They go to Manchester, they meet with the reps there. Comes out today, he maybe has a meeting with Liverpool as well. It says, let's see, right here, the Wirtz family also met with Liverpool on Tuesday, which suggests talks with the Reds are also advanced, but just like with City, they have not been finalized yet. This is basically City Extra version of Leverkusen. So there are conflicting reports if that is true or not, if he met with Liverpool or not. I think the Liverpool interest is maybe there, and maybe he did meet with Liverpool, but it seems like the interest and at least the City deal is much more advanced at the moment. I'm not sure Liverpool are willing to go to the number City are willing to go to. Maybe they are. You never know. I mean, it's a big money transfer for sure, but Liverpool just won the Premier League. They're going to get Champions League money. I'm sure if they wanted to hit the 150 number, they could. Although that's unlikely, I think they financially could potentially do that. But basically everything comes to a head. There's just news popping off left, right, center, all over the place. And I think this guy right here, Sacha Tavolieri, basically sums it up best. This was 3 hours ago today. City's waiting for Florian Wirtz's decision on his future. Talks are ready to conclude after Bayer Leverkusen and City officials found a principle of global agreement as revealed on Monday. So basically that is confirming City, Leverkusen are good on their side of the deal. They've got the framework of the wage packet that Wirtz will get, and if Wirtz wants to do the deal, it will happen. If he wants Bayern Munich or chooses Liverpool for some, maybe an unlikely scenario, then maybe that happens. But if he wants City, according to SAGA Cavalieri, who has been basically all over this story, at least regarding the Wirtz. Now, sometimes, you see sources who are on one story, like Bild were all over the Erling Haaland story, but this one they seem to have, maybe be behind or jump the gun and not get some stuff right. This guy, SAGA Cavalieri, has seemingly been first to a lot of news on the Wirtz deal, so maybe he's tight with Wirtz's parents or Wirtz's entourage, I don't know. But this seems to be the go-to guy from what I can tell on Twitter. It says it depends now only on the German who's going to take his decision before departing for the holidays, probably next week. Bayern pushing on the player side, but relationship between Wirtz and Bayer Leverkusen will be a crucial point on how the deal will end up. So I would say that indicates he is slightly showing some sort of loyalty to Leverkusen and saying, maybe I won't go to the direct rivals of you guys. I want what's best for Leverkusen, as well as for myself, of course. But I do believe, based on everything going through, if I had to put a number on it, I'm going with Wirtz to City as the likeliest of chances, because I don't believe Bayern will stump up the asking price that Leverkusen has, and I think City will. City are desperate for the KDB replacement. They're letting their club legend go. They need that player who's the attacking, creative midfielder, and there's a clear hole in the team that it's an easy sell to say, this guy's leaving the club, we want you to come in and try to replicate, what his role was for the last decade here. It's a pretty easy selling point to me. Whereas with Bayern, it's like, you have Jamal Musiala there playing that role. You have to change the system to fit 2 10s. Now you have Michael Olise, who's like a winger, who's really good, can probably play centrally if they wanted to. You have Harry Kane, he's aging. There's rumors he might leave the club in the summer. Maybe he doesn't. But again, the selling point for Bayern is, we are Bayern, come join us. The selling point for City is, we have a spot for you, come play for us and replicate one of the best players the world has ever seen in KDB. So it really depends. Maybe he just is, the typical German player who dreams of playing for Bayern, and that's what he decides is best for him, and it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but if you're looking at it from an objective, which side needs me more, or where do I fit more easily, that's definitely Manchester City. I'm not sure how the Liverpool fit works. Liverpool don't really play with an attacking 10. They have more of 2 8s and a 6. From what when I watch them, I don't really see a 10 per se as a need for them. They're obviously a very good team, and maybe we'll look for a striker this summer, but not really a 10. It's not something I would have pegged in my head that Liverpool are in the market for particularly. Now, again, this is just to reiterate, Florian Wirtz is an outstanding football player. He's going to be 22 going into the season. Leverkusen are demanding a ton of money, 150 million euros. Clearly, that would break the English transfer record. And City are basically the wealthiest club in the world, aside from Newcastle, who have their own sort of issues where they can't actually spend the money they have. City do not find themselves in that issue. They have not spent in the summer, last summer, the summer before. They only really bought Josko Vardiol. So their spend is down. I know people are going to comment, you spent so much in January, but again, these teams have these budgets where they can spend. And if City haven't spent, just because we spent in a window where most people don't spend, doesn't mean that now we can't spend again. City definitely have the money and are in PSR sort of framework where they're not at risk of breaching those rules. I know people will say 115, blah, 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 but that's not really what the 115 is not about breaching PSR. It's about something totally different. And from 7 years to 15 years ago. So, I mean, we're not currently in a situation where spending money has anything to do with 115 or breaking PSR. City have been nothing but compliant in the PSR, basically reports that come out year by year. There's been no indication of being anywhere close to breaking those rules. So that's separate from the point. But if Wirtz decides to come and he wants to come to Manchester City, I think the deal is basically done. We should find out, like this tweet from Sacha Tavolieri says, before he goes on vacation, which means he would be available most likely to play in the Club World Cup, which would be awesome. So maybe we're a week or so away from finding out. I do still think, like I said, it's leaning City's way. I'm not 100% guarantee stamping it, but I do think it's leaning City's way. If Bayern Munich decide to pay up, maybe that switches it. I just don't see that happening personally. Anyway, so that is my take and the latest news on Florian Wirtz to Man City. Hopefully we get the positive news we are looking for and it can kind of paste over the cracks of this very poor season that we are having. Anyway, more content to come, of course, more transfer news. If there's any more breaks over the, before the weekend, we will be here going live for those breaking news situations, and I will be doing a live watch along on Saturday for the FA Cup final. So do come check that out. Anyway, like I said, thank you guys for all the subs. Help me get the 150 number very soon. Leave a like, comment, let me know what you think of Wirtz. How much should City spend on him? Anyway, I'll be back as soon as there's more news. See ya.